Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. So, we're going to be talking about the expansion. Um, Now, it's probably going to be impossible to do a review of the expansion without spoiling at least something. I'll try to keep the, like story spoilers to a bare minimum at the very least. But I am going to be talking about the expansion, what the expansion has to offer you, and what you can look forward to. And I think the easiest way to do this is to talk about Diablo 2. So, in Diablo 2, when Diablo 2 first launched, there was a lot of stuff missing from the game. Mercs were missing from the game. The mercs that we did have in Diablo 2, you could not equip with any gear. If they died, you just didn't get them back. There was a lot of problems with the mercenaries when they first came out, and they weren't even really mercs. And it wasn't until D2 LOD that we got mercenaries. Well, we also got mercenaries in Diablo 4. So Diablo 4 also has mercenaries. I have an entire video up about the mercenaries, and they are absolutely amazing. I don't want to have to spoil anything about the mercs, but I will say that you get to summon one of 4 mercenaries, and if you are solo, you get to keep that mercenary with you at all times. If you are not solo, if you're in a group, you have a support mercenary, and the support mercenary will do at least one of their attacks, choosing basically on whatever you chose. So if you chose a specific attack, they're going to do that attack on the specific timing that you've decided on, which is really nice. Number 2 is runes. So runes were also not a thing in Diablo 2, and they are now a thing in Diablo 4. So it's actually quite interesting that the Diablo 4 expansion has really kind of paralleled the Diablo 2 expansion in many ways by adding in mercenaries and by adding in runes. The runes are absolutely amazing, by the way, and there are a lot of various things that you can do with the runes to create some very interesting combinations, like summoning specific skills to your aid, giving you more critical strike chance, adding in tons and tons of variable ways that you can enhance or even augment the build that you're currently working on. And I do plan on doing a full video on the runes at some point, but to suffice it to say, I think the runes are very good, a very good addition to the game, and I'm excited about the possibilities that they have for us. Also, on top of this, of course, the Diablo 4 expansion has expanded on the story, so expanded the story by adding in more story. And the campaign was really good. I can't really go through the campaign and talk about everything because that would, of course, spoil it. But I really, really enjoyed going through the campaign. I took my time and I just played the campaign and I had fun with it. And listened to the NPCs, went to the areas, looked at all the beautiful, the vistas and the scenery. And quite honestly, I would rate the campaign a 10 out of 10. The Diablo 4 original campaign was a 10 out of 10. So definitely worth it, at least for the campaign. There's also a myriad of new activities that can be done in the new expansion, similar to the way that Diablo 2 had a myriad of new activities that could be done. For instance, there is the Realm Walkers, which is a very interesting and very fun, honestly, mechanic of a monster with a big giant portal on his head that you kill, and very, very nice. I like it. There's also the Undercity. There is also the Dark Citadel. So there is a lot of new areas and new things that you could potentially do. On top of this, in Diablo 2, when the expansion came out, you got access to an entirely new zone. Right? You got Act 5. In Diablo 4, you get access to an entirely new zone, which is basically Act 3. Because it totally is the Diablo 2 Act 3 area. You can even visit the docks from Act 3 in this area, and you can go to a lot of the very similar places from Act 3. So we are literally going back to Act 3 in Diablo 4, and we've gotten an entirely new zone. On top of this, we also have gained a new class. So just like in Diablo 2, when D2 came out, we got 2 new classes. Well, we only got 1 this time, but we got the Spiritborn, and the Spiritborn is absolutely very fun, extremely fun character. Tons of different ways you can build a character. Thorns, you can go fast, you can go, like Big Hulk and Gorilla, you can do, like a poison build, and there's all sorts of various combinations that you could do in between these, and it's a very good addition to the game. I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with the Spiritborn and what the Spiritborn can do. Overall, the expansion is absolutely amazing, in my opinion. And it has a lot to offer, and I would say that it's definitely a must-buy in terms of like what it offers you for the game. Let's go over some of the stuff in more detail from this point on. So just a warning for you guys from this point on, we may get into things that could be considered to be spoilers. So, you know, if you don't want spoilers, if you don't want any spoilers at all, just go ahead and cut the video off. I will try and still keep it very spoiler free, but obviously there's going to be small spoilers here and there. So let's dive into it.
Mr. Goody Two Shoes, Mr. Goody Two Shoes. Ginger Evil Mentor here. Why bother farming when you can go to MMOEXP.com and simply purchase your items in gold? GGM would have you farm the items. What a pathetic being. Use code GEM Ginger Evil Mentor for 6% off your entire purchase. And don't tell Ginger Gaming Mentor that I was here.
All right, so first off, talking about the map itself. So, freaking Chinchilla. The map itself is amazing. So Nahantu in specifically is a very interesting area, and just I'm fighting with the Chinchilla over here. Will you sit up there? Thank you. The map is just a really neat area. It is way better than all the other areas that I've dealt with previously, and I say that in a very insulting manner. And I really mean it. As I run through the new Kuros areas and all the new Kuros maps and the zones, I feel like they've taken a lot of the, just in general, the things that we liked about the other areas, and they actually put them to good use in designing a completely new area. And this new area is honestly designed way better than any of the older areas. When you're running through here and you're just killing monsters, you're going to have fun with it. When you're running through here and you are, you know, like doing the HellTides, or you're chasing the Realm Walker, or you're doing any of the quests and things like that, you're just going to have a lot of fun going through these zones, just in general, because they are absolutely amazing when it comes to the fun that you have going through the zones. And it's kind of hard to explain. Like it's not something that I can really like just quantify to you, but it's the design of the area, it's how it looks, it's how you're traversing through the area, it's the density of the monsters, it's the type of monsters, it's the way that the area is, you know, flowing. And of course it probably also has something to do with the fact that the Diablo 2 area that it's being based on is, you know, a very interesting area indeed. The city was always a fun place to go through. The jungle not so much, but the city was very fun. And so, you know, like just in general, I think you're going to really enjoy going through the zone, and you're going to have fun with Nahantu, like overall, just from the way that Nahantu works. Furthermore than that, the campaign itself takes you like all over Nahantu to very interesting areas. Like, for instance, you can go back to the docks and from Diablo 2, and there's some pretty interesting stuff to see here in the docks. The Gibden is still there, so you can go and you can see the Gibden. You're going to revisit some of the other places that you haven't visited before, like or that haven't seen in a long time since Diablo 2. So be prepared for that. There is some very interesting monster types as you run around, and I'm gonna go like run around for a little bit and show you, but we'll play around with some of this stuff to get into the nitty gritty of the expansion. I do think, by the way, I don't know if I've stated this, but you should definitely buy the expansion. It's amazing. It's like 2 times more fun than the previous versions. Tons of stuff to do, tons of things to get involved in, and even when you're just riding around in the expansion area. You get the feeling that, like, the place is, you know, like almost alive comparatively to the previous zones. You're running through, and there's just like they got vines everywhere. The monsters, these guys are really mean, by the way. The ones that like ride on top of the backs of their friends and then throw like poison bombs at you. Not a big fan. But then again, Act 3 was always a act that was designed around, you know, like you not liking the act. I hated going through the jungle in Act 3 and Diablo 2. I know I'm probably like messing up my numbers here, which happens a lot when I start dealing with like 1, 2, 3, 4, and like start mixing them back and forth with each other. But in Diablo 2, It was Act 3, and in Act 3, the city and the jungle were always kind of interesting. As you can see, there's bridges, there's like freaking waterfalls down there. I mean, I absolutely adore this zone. It is a very fun zone in terms of like what it is as you're running through it. More so than that, though, is the kind of like backstory and the general feeling of nostalgia, I guess would be the term, from coming through here as a person who enjoyed Diablo 2. You're going to find quests, you're going to find areas that are going to remind you of the older zones. You're going to find even people talking, like people from the older zones. One of the people from the Act 2 docks is in this particular game. I won't spoil that for you, but you will find you will find at least one of the people from the docks in there, and I'll leave it up to you to guess which one. The Undercity is one of the new features, and I will have a video going over the Undercity. This is where you use the Spirit Brazier to do the Undercity. There's also the Dark Citadel, which is a whole area in itself that has to do with the Khazra, and that has its own zone even, where you go to do the Dark Citadel events. The some of the seasonal stuff from the expansion has made it into the base game, so like the Hatred Rising, the Realm Walkers do spawn in the open world. So as you're going through the base game, there's definitely some stuff that seeps into the base game, like the Realm Walkers. This is the Realm Walker right here, and I think he's actually spawned, or he's about to spawn. Let's go take a look at him real quick. And as you can see, this one is not in the new zone. This is in the old zone, right? This is in what is it? Dark Tri-Steps, I think. I think this is what this is.
Need time to...
And this is one of the Realm Walkers. He just popped out of the ground. He's got the portal on his back. This entire event basically is revolving around trying to get the Realm Walker to fall back down so that you can go through his portal. And going through his portal gets you some very specific rewards. It's usually a little bit of a pain in the butt because you do have to follow him around, obviously, until you can make him vulnerable. And then once you make him vulnerable, you can dish out some pretty good damage to take him down. I'm not going to show you that. I'm not going to spoil that for you, but I just wanted to kind of like highlight that some of the events, some of the things, are available in the base game versus the expansion. There's definitely a bunch of new cities and new places that you can go to. Right now, I'm currently in the Kurast Bazaar, which is the kind of like the main city in the new zone. As well as there are other places, like for instance the Mercenary Den, which you can go to specifically to have access and to all of your mercenaries. This is essentially where you talk to, hire, enlist, and generally use the mercenaries like bonuses. Once you have all the mercenaries, they gather here in this place, and you can, of course, utilize those to your advantage. That's a little bit of a tease. I didn't really show you much. You can also take your portal back from here as well, which is pretty handy. Overall, I am very impressed with the Vessel of Hatred expansion. It has also added things like the Party Finder, if you guys are into that sort of a thing, and in general, just massive usefulness from the rune words themselves, which give very good usefulness for your particular character, and you can customize those, obviously, to new unique items, to the new class, to the mercenaries, to all the various things that they've given us as access to. Has been, if as good, if not maybe even slightly better than the original Diablo 2 expansion was for Diablo 2, enabling all sorts of very important things to obviously make their way into the game. The Diablo 2 expansion also gave us a slew of new unique items, which was a whole nother thing, and we've gotten a whole bunch of new uniques in Diablo 4 expansion as well. Very good for the game. If you haven't played the game in a really long time, there is so freaking much for you to explore and learn when it comes to the expansion for Diablo 4. And definitely a good time to come back and give the game another try if you didn't really enjoy it when it first came out. Similarly to the way that Diablo 2, when it launched, was in a very poor state, Diablo 2 LOD made it way better. There were some things that D2 LOD broke as well, and there are people who will talk about and argue about that to this day. But without a doubt, the D4 expansion has been a force of good for the game overall, and has definitely made it a lot more interesting to play and have fun with. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me for these little videos. I hope I didn't spoil too much for you. I try to keep things as minimal as possible when talking about this. And if you have any specific questions in the comments, I can certainly take a look at those. And as always, keep watching.